A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble universal greeting of peace, the greeting that is being used by prophets and messengers of our universal creator Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah, I'm alive, I'm well, moving from strength to strength, spiritually speaking, psychologically speaking, speaking in terms of quality of being, quality of relating, quality of life. What I'm talking about here is Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun, and every day I am preparing for the hereafter. Every day I'm preparing for my penthouse in paradise. X marks the spot, that's the bullseye. Through this life, to my death, to the day of accountability, to the doors of paradise, and all the way up to the penthouse in paradise. That's the aspiration, that's the dream, that's the vision, that's the dua. That's what I am aspiring to as my greatest desire. My greatest desire is Jannatul Firdaus, Jannatul Naeem, a place of delight, a place of ecstasy. So I'm saying to you that I live with a purpose, I live with intention, I live with a commitment. And that commitment is, nothing is more important to me in terms of what I want, is having an afterlife, the final abode, a place of abode. That's why I say it's a penthouse in paradise, because it's an abode, it's where we'll be. I'm using that as a metaphor, as a symbol, of what I want for me. We live in this world is temporary. Eventually the world as we know it will cease to be, and another world will begin. And in that world, how we lived in this world, it will be reflected. How we lived in this world will be reflected. But either we lived in a way that we are rewarded, or in a way that we are not rewarded, in a way that we experience either delight, or in a way that we experience horror. Heaven and hell. Delight and horror. Ecstasy and suffering. So there's a quality of experience that we will have in the hereafter, where it all ends. The ending, is the next life. That's the beginning of the next one. Our ending is the beginning. You get what I mean? That as this world ends, another world will begin. The Quran speaks of the sound, the blast, the horn that is blown, the trumpet, whatever it is. And that's not just a musical instrument, by the way. That is sound and sound vibration. Anybody who knows anything about science and physics will tell you everything is vibrating, and everything is vibrational. Everything is energy vibrating, and so on and so forth. And so in that sound, that vibration, that will be the vibration that ends all of reality as we know it, and another one, will be created upon the second blowing of that particular sound, the making of that sound, whatever it is. So Allah knows best. These are things we are talking about that we have no reference of in this world. And so Allah gives us guidance. He's telling us in the Quran that this is what it's all about, accountability before Allah on the final day. And based on that experience, we will either have an experience of delight at various degrees or horror. That's what it's all about. We wouldn't have known. How would we know? We don't know. When you're born, you know nothing. And then you learn to count and use your abilities and all that sort of thing, or you become aware. If Allah didn't tell us this, we wouldn't know. So guidance, guidance is so important. And who values guidance? People who learn, people who want to learn, people who are willing to learn, people who are open to becoming more aware. These are people who want guidance. Who wants guidance? I was a person who wasn't interested in guidance, like so many of the world's people or peoples. They're not interested in guidance, and I was not interested in guidance. And I thought I already knew. I thought, I'm here, I have a mind, I'm living my life, I already know. So in my, what I would call my first life, before enlightenment and after enlightenment, before guidance and after guidance, BG and after G, before guidance, BG, and AG is after guidance. Before guidance, I thought I already knew everything, and I was busy living my life in a certain way, and that way ended up with what I call the dead end. Well, not really the dead end. Fortunately, it was heading there. It went into what we call rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. Where it was unbearable now. The way I was living was creating an experience for me. Obviously, being superstitious, unenlightened, guidance, I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, I had ideas about religion. I had a religious identity. I grew up in a family. There's a Quran in the house. We know about going to the mosque and what we believe and reading, our kalemas and all sorts of things, and reading the Quran in a language you don't understand, and our families doing what they do as part of a religious group. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that guidance has come to us. You know what I mean? And so I was in this horrible place, and I had to choose, either kill myself, because I didn't know what way out, what was the way out, or what was the option. And I humbled myself and I received guidance. I began to look for solutions. I began to say, well, what's my role in this? I began to take responsibility. I began to want to learn. I was interested in expanding my awareness. I was interested in becoming aware of that which I wasn't aware of at that point. The way I was living and what was my focus, it took me to the rock bottom, and I was close to the dead end, kill myself, And so it was horrible life and miserable. And some of us have to get there. Some of us have to get to that point where our lives don't work before we have to say, like, okay, guidance. What is it that I'm unaware of, that I'm actually unaware that I'm unaware, and I want to become aware. What is it that I am not aware of? Where's the guidance, and what is the guidance really? The guidance is to remember Allah, to bring to Allah a purified heart, and to step on the path of Iman, Amal, a life, Tayyibun, and a blissful return into gentle Firdaus. That is the path, the straight path, the return to Allah. And I didn't know that. I was in a religious identity, with a family in a religious identity, with other sub-identities and so on and so forth. And we were just doing our thing, and my life wasn't working, and I was in my own mind about things, and suffering was the result. When you fail to remember Allah, yours is a depressed life. Now, everybody, the Quran is here to guide everybody to the remembrance of Allah. Everybody has forgotten Allah. Everybody is denying Allah. You get what I mean? Everybody. And the Quran doesn't say these are for the people who forgot Allah, for them to remember. This is for mankind, to heal the diseases of their hearts. You know what I mean? Mankind to heal. Everybody's heart is diseased. Everybody. You, me, and everybody. But the thing is, when I was living a bit extreme. My heart was extremely off track. And my thinking and my behaviors and my actions were not coming from security. They were not coming from truth. They were not coming for what I was here for. I was living like other people in my mind, made the world real, made my life the only thing that is important, and I forgot about Allah, as everybody forgets about Allah until they remember. And I didn't remember Allah. And I didn't know that my mission here is to bring to Allah a purified heart. I had another mission for this world, relief, safety, excitement. This is what it's all about. I'm going to live here forever. I had my life planned, you know what I mean? Like this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And other people must just fall into track and make me happy and all that. And, which I look back now and it's a blessing. My life crumbled when I hit a rock bottom experience, when something I believe I needed wasn't there. And I'm fortunate that I didn't kill myself, because that's what Satan was whispering to me. And I'm fortunate at that time I opened up to guidance. I said, I know I don't know, and I want to know. Allah, you guide me. I humbled myself. I was prepared to focus on Allah rather than the world around me and what was happening. And I was able to learn, grow and develop. I was able to receive the guidance. I was able to learn what it means to remember Allah and what it means to bring to Allah a purified heart. I was able to step on this path of remembering Allah and bringing to Allah a purified heart. And I was, where I am now is more iman than I've ever had. Amal, better conduct that I've ever had with me, my body, my life. And I can relate to the world and people, things and experiences and be receptive. I have a peace consciousness. I'm at peace. And I have a personal power consciousness. I'm not harming myself with my own hands like it was before. And I have a prosperity consciousness. I can relate to people, things and experiences in a way that benefits me. I can eliminate from my life things that are harmful, and I can open up to things that are beneficial. I can receive Allah's caring. I can care for me, my body, my life. I can care for my future life, my afterlife. I can care for other people. I can care for the resources that I have, the things that I have. I can let people care for me. This wasn't the case back in the day. You know what I mean? I was just living in a state of desperation, needily, desperately, and obviously when you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life. Mine hit that rock bottom. Fortunately for me, for most people, they haven't remembered Allah, and they don't know that they have to remember Allah. And they seem to be, living in the world very comfortable, without drama and trauma, no troubles, no trauma, no tragedies. But sooner or later, it will be revealed, the insecurity will be revealed, that diseased heart that people are able to mask or live from the satanic self, the phantom self, and they live in this world thinking the world is real in the trance. They deny Allah, they deny the state of their heart, they don't want to address the remembrance of Allah, they don't want to address the state of their heart. They don't want to step on the path of Iman, Amal, Alive Tayyibun. They're not interested in the hereafter and accountability before Allah. There's a lot of people who use their mind thinking they're very smart. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who think, I can just depend on somebody, and I can get people to depend on me, and I can depend on myself. Who needs to depend on Allah? That's where we all are. That's where I was. Like, where does Allah fit in all this? I'm a religious person. I must just do rituals. I must just have these beliefs. I must join this group. Whatever this group says, I must follow the guru. I must follow the pandit. And the pandit will tell me what's right and wrong, what to do, what not to do. He's got the religious expertise. And when I hit rock bottom, there was nobody I could turn to. Not the pandit, not the guru. They couldn't answer me. I turned to them. So some of us might feel like that. We might feel like, our lives are not working out and we've tried everything. We've tried what the guru said, we tried the pandit said, we tried the religious thing, and we did all the rituals and we did all the things to get Allah to change us and change the world, and He wasn't changing us and changing the world. We were desperate and trying to get Allah to change us, and we did all kinds of things, but Allah is not there, So two things to say about this. One is, some of us might realize the answers are not going to come from the guru and the pandit, because we asked, and whatever answers they gave didn't work. And some of them will say, it's us. We are not using we are at fault. We are not doing the ritual nicely, or they start blaming us, and we start blaming ourselves. Yeah, maybe it's us. No, it's that we're not receiving guidance. You get what I mean? So I can tell you from personal experience, because when I received guidance, my life changed. I'm here now. I'm on my way to a beautiful death. Things getting better and better for me. I'm peaceful. I'm joyful. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my life. My heart is pure. Every day I'm cleansing, cleaning, purifying. Every day. I know what my purpose is. I know what my mission is. I got my eyes set on my penthouse in paradise. About the hereafter, but I'm not forgetting my purpose in this world. Now, these were things I heard, that this world is not important, the hereafter is important, but nobody could explain it to me in a way that I could really understand and live. And now I understand it, and I'm living it, that while I'm in this world, I'm not attached to it. I'm not in a trance. The things of this world, they don't disturb me, they don't excite me like before. Because I'm focused on Allah, I've remembered Allah, and I'm here and I'm bringing to Allah a purified heart. I'm cleansing, I'm cleaning every day, I'm releasing. My heart is expanding, I'm on an upward expansion, and I'm on this path. And the more you go on this path and the further you go on this path, the easier it is. You know, like when you learn to ride a bike, in the beginning it's very hard, you can't ride it. You get on, you fall off. But you get on, you fall off, you get on, you fall off. Eventually you take 1-2 paddles and then you fall off. But then you take 1-2 more, and you say, wow, I'm doing it, and you fall off later, you know what I mean? So this is like the path. But eventually you get onto this path and you're riding this bike and you got like holding the handlebars and you're enjoying it. Eventually you're like popping wheelies on the bike, and next thing you know, you're not even holding the handlebars and you're like riding away with the wind in your face, and wow, look at me riding my bike. Now that's how it is on this path, I must tell you. The further you go along this path, the easier it gets. And the more enjoyable it is, the more secure you feel. And that's what a believer is, more secure. The closer you are to Allah, you understand? It's for us to draw closer to Allah. You take one step towards Allah, Allah takes 10. Hadith Qudsi tells us. Basically, if you walk towards Allah, He comes running towards you. You understand? And so, this is what I'm doing every day. I'm remembering Allah. I'm remembering Allah. So, I said to you, the first thing is that a lot of us might be feeling like we've been in a dark situation and we turn to people and they're not, whatever they tell us didn't work. Well, yeah, they haven't received guidance themselves. They are more into religiosity than Iman. They're more into the ideas of Islam and their identities than they are into Iman's Allah consciousness. You get what I mean? And so the other thing is that when a lot of us are living our lives, we don't get to that point. We just live for survival. We got relief, safety, excitement. We got what we need. We think it's okay, so there's no problem. You know what I mean? But still, we haven't remembered Allah. So you get two types of people. People who can not remember Allah and seem to live a comfortable life. And there are people who don't remember Allah and seem to have a very uncomfortable, in my case, horrible experience of life. And don't be fooled that if you you got money, you got this, you got that, you got no problems, that you are depending on somebody, or you got somebody to depend on you, or you're depending on yourself. So there are people who depend on your business or depend on your abilities. There are people who depend on other than Allah. And they think it works, that I got a man who's wealthy, I got a job that pays well, I'm okay. My okayness is a function of, I can help everybody. I got enough for me, and people must come to me and I'll help them. Somebody else is making me feel okay. I'm making other people feel okay. I'm making me feel okay. So you can be in that particular category. But that doesn't mean you've remembered Allah, and you haven't remembered Allah. Until you depend on Allah, you haven't remembered Allah. And sooner or later, you will come to know that you were in error and that there was guidance and you didn't require it. So fortunately for me, that I was so off track, and that sooner or later came so soon, and I started suffering in this world very quickly, that I began to look at it. Because if I didn't suffer so quickly, if I was just like everybody else, depending on somebody, depending on myself, or other people depending on me, I'm depending on people to depend on me, I could have gone my whole life and died without remembering Allah, with the religious identity, with stories with the guru and the pandit and all that, you know what I mean? And shukr to Allah, I hit rock bottom. And I'm very grateful. The second thing I'm saying to you is that when we hit this rock, so some people won't hit rock bottom, but they're still off track, and they're still going to be answerable for why they didn't depend on Allah or remember Allah, why they turn to the world, and why they don't want to remember Allah, why they don't want to experience Allah, His caring, His consideration, His compassion. So most people worship Satan. That's how it is. In fact, all people worship Satan until guidance comes to us. The Quran tells us, and then we can stop worshipping Satan and we can worship Allah. So most people want to remain worshipping Satan. Meaning, most people want to remain not worshipping Allah. Although, remember, there are people who act like they're worshipping Allah, but they're not. Woe to those who stand in prayer, the Quran says, but whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. Do not say that you're a believer, for faith has not entered into your heart. Rather say that you are one who's submissive in religion. The Quran says they say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they do not believe. In their heart is a disease, and that disease is expanded, and they astray and they're left to stray. You see, the disease in my heart was expanded until it reached a proportion that was unbearable. And that's when I opened to guidance and I received guidance, and that's why that heart is no more as diseased as it was, and I know how to cleanse my heart. Allah shows us where we are in error, and Allah shows us how to correct, and I'm that person. I'm happy for the guidance, because what is guidance? The guidance is you can begin to see where you're not operating correctly, that where you are operating incorrectly. See, that you can correct, you can get on the track, get on the path, you can awaken, you can remember, you can do what you're here to do. You're here for the afterlife. For those people deep in the trance worshipping Satan, they have no clue what I'm talking about. It's only recently, relatively recently, that I came to realize that it's only about remembering Allah, for Allah alone actually is, and it's unconditionally focusing on Allah. If you focus on Allah generally, specifically, or especially when there's heavy drama in your life, like there was for me, you can awaken. This is an amazing thing, that there is for us the remembrance of Allah, out of the darkness into the light. So I'm quoting these verses to say to you that some of you have been born into Muslim families, but do not ever think that because you're born into a Muslim family, or you know the kalima, or you've said the shahada, or whatever it is, you have these beliefs. Don't ever believe that you're a believer. You can believe that you're a believer, but you're not really a believer. Now again, it's not something that I'm saying that I'm better than you. I'm saying that's where I was. Remember, I don't care about the state of anybody's heart. You get what I mean? The only person's heart that I'm interested in, that I have the ability to clean, is my own. Why must I focus on anybody else's heart, including any one of you? Because I can't clean your heart. Your heart is for you to cleanse. It's for you to bring to Allah your purified heart. I can only focus on my heart. And I have ability to cleanse my heart with the guidance. You get what I mean? So it's pointless me focusing on anybody else's heart. People might say, but you're so uncaring, you're so unkind, you don't care about our hearts. I can't care about your heart. Only you can care about your heart. You get what I mean? It's pointless for me to care about you. I care about my heart. I can share my journey with you of how I went from a diseased heart to a heart that is being cleansed, and how I cleanse my heart. I can tell you how I'm preparing for my penthouse in heaven. I can tell you that. That's caring. That's as caring as I can get. I can tell you where I was. I can tell you the pitfalls along the way. I can tell you what the obstacles are along the way. I can tell you where people go off on detours. I've been there. I can share that with you if you want to hear it. But those who are deep in Satan worshipping, the world is very real for them. They're more interested in themselves of this world which is temporary. The world that is temporary and themselves that is temporary. They're more interested in this physical self of theirs. They don't know that there's a hereafter and there's an after self, and that self is going to be forever. That's the self that you've got to be interested in. You get what I mean? People don't get that. This world is not as important as you think it is. It's here for you to actually do your work. Wake up, remember God, bring to Allah a purified heart, cleanse your heart, be on the path of Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun, plan for your blissful return into the paradise. That is the penthouse in paradise for you. That's there. That's your job. That's what the scriptures are telling us. You get them? That's what the prophets and messengers have been sharing with us. So I was telling about the second thing, that a lot of people, when they are in some kind of rock bottom situation, like I'm sick now, you know what I mean? Or what I want is not happening, or I feel hopeless and helpless. A lot of us, when we get to that particular point, we get so fixated on that particular issue. Like, this is the biggest thing in the world. Oh my God, I'm going to die. I got cancer. Oh my God. No, that's not the biggest thing in the world. The afterworld and how you prepared for it is the biggest thing in the world. Did you receive guidance? Did you remember Allah? Did you cleanse your heart? Did you be on the path of human excellence? Have you prepared for your death and beyond? Are you focused on God's good in this world and the world beyond, understanding that the world of this, the portion in this world is good but not great, that the portion in the world beyond is great, but go for good in this world too. This world is temporary. You get what I mean? When people live in the trance that Adam and Eve went into, this denial of God, this forgetfulness of Allah, they made the world very real. You get what I mean? That they think they're going to live forever, they think the world is going to be around forever, they think it's about the things of this world. You've heard me say this repeatedly. There are things you can do in the world, but you're not here to do those things. You are here to remember God. You are here to bring to God a purified heart. You're here to cleanse your heart. You are here to develop yourself in Iman, Amal. That means be secure and more secure. You're here to develop yourself as a human being psychologically, to live at a higher level. You're here, when you are developing yourself in Iman, you experience spiritual joy. Spiritual joy has got nothing to do with your physical health. It's got nothing to do with anybody or anything in the world. It's even got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with Allah. Spiritual joy. Let them in the mercy of Allah rejoice. I'm going to speak about this a little bit more. Let them in the mercy of Allah rejoice. You know what I mean? So, people when they hear, they don't know that, this is the path of Iman, Amal. Live with honorable conduct. Live in a way using the ability that Allah has given you to benefit you. Live in a self-beneficial way. Iman is where you recognize Allah's benefit that nobody can be, and how to use Allah's benefit. While you hear spiritual practices allow us to use Allah's benefit in this world through our death and beyond, nobody and nothing can replace Allah's benefit. Those of you who turn to others and turn to yourselves and turn to others to turn to you, you're not enough. Nobody is enough in that way. Only Allah. But people don't know. That's why I say people who forgot Allah and remain in the state of forgetfulness, they deny Allah and they deny the benefit of Allah. They don't turn to Allah. They don't worship and trust and thank. They don't value Allah. They don't praise Allah and trust and thank Allah and invoke Allah every day. They don't work with spiritual practices. I have shared the 7 spiritual practices with you. They don't work with that every day. If you don't work with that every day, you are missing out. You're not getting the good for you in this world and the world beyond. So people say, we don't need, what's this thing of worship and praise, and this thing of trusting, and this thing of thanking, and this thing of invoking compassion, and being patient, and invoking being progressed in this world, and being prospered. What's all this thing? We just got our job. We're okay. That's our life. We got this man to look after us. We got this woman to look after us. We got us to look after ourselves. We got this business. We're okay. We're the people looking after everybody else. When people live in the denial of Allah and, they fail to receive from Allah, you've got to release satanic worship. You've got to release the phantom self. You've got to release the separation. You've got to release the guilt, the shame. You've got to release superstition. And people are just holding on to it because they went to school and university, and you know how smart they are, because they can earn their money and charge people big money and carry on and feed off other people's sicknesses and all that, and they can just make their way in the world. They're very good. They think they're very good. They haven't remembered Allah. Look, it doesn't matter to me whether anybody else remembers Allah or not. I don't even care whether they remember Allah or not. I'm just saying to you, the Quran says most of humanity, deaf, dumb and blind. They have eyes but they won't behold, ears but they won't hear. They have hearts but they won't accept, They're ungrateful. They'll remain worshipping Satan. The question is, does it matter to you that you're going to be raised up again, and how you live here and what your purpose is here? Are you, how interested are you for guidance? You see, so when people come to guidance, now I can tell you this as a therapist. When people come to somebody for counseling, they don't necessarily come to somebody for guidance. And what I give people is the guidance that I've been given. I share it with people. I tell them, this is what happened, and this is how I progressed. It may work for you, it may not work for you, but it worked for me. It's worked for anybody that will use it, that the Quran says it's a solution. It's a solution. And so people come for counseling, but they don't want guidance. They want, like, tell me how I can change this situation. I don't like what's happening. I don't like what's happening. I'm sick. How can you get God to fix me? My life is sick. How can you get God to fix me? I don't feel happy. I don't feel happy. And, something must change. So if we ask you, any one of you listening to this recording, we ask you, what do you think must change in the world? What do you think must change in the world? Then you won't be sad. You won't be unhappy. You won't be miserable. Oh, Allah must restore me to complete physical health. I'll be very happy. Oh, Allah must make my husband more loyal to me. I'll be very happy. Oh, Allah must make my wife obey me. I'll be very happy. It's because my spouse is not obeying me, or it's because they're not the way I want them to be. It's because life is not the way I want it to be, because I'm not the way I want to be, and something must be different. If we have this kind of mentality that something must be different because we want to go back to how we were living, I got to tell you that is Satan worship. If you want to continue to be and live, how you've lived, be how you've been, live how you lived, experience what you've experienced, if you just want Allah to give you relief, safety and excitement, if I ask somebody, like, what's the problem? What do you think will solve the problem? And somebody says, well, if Allah just changed this world, if Allah just changed the people, if the people just changed, if I just changed, if something just changed. If you have that kind of a mentality, and you come for counseling, you're not coming for guidance. And that's where people get stuck. People like me could have gotten stuck. I could have gotten stuck right there, that this is a very big problem I got here. Now Allah, I'm waiting for you to change it, and when will you change it? But the problem wasn't that. The problem was I didn't remember Allah. The problem was I wasn't cleansing my heart. The problem was I wasn't drawing closer to Allah. The problem was I was in a trance. The problem was I thought this me will live forever, the world will be around forever. The problem was my heart was diseased, and it was being expanded. Even though I had a Muslim religious identity, even though I might say I was reading the Quran and whatever, going to the mosque and all that sort of thing on a Friday or whenever, my heart was diseased, and disease was expanding. And I was astray. And I was left astray. So when I say to people that, okay, you come to me, what seems to be the problem? And they tell me the problem is such and such and such and such. And I say to them what was told to me, that's not your problem. That's a symptom of your problem. What you are living is the symptom of a problem. The cause is you. You are the cause of your problem. And the people say, like, no. Just tell me how to get God to change this. How to get God to change me or change somebody else. I'm begging God to change me and change other people and change other things. I'm begging God. You know what I mean? I'm begging people. I'm wishing and hoping life would be different. I'm going to anybody, everybody. I'm spending money on people to, paying them to help them change me and my life, whatever. I'm going to this counselor and that counselor, They are just in a state of denial. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to take responsibility. They want to say, Allah, you are responsible for this life. You caused this life for me. And Allah, you are responsible for my pain and my problems. You sort it out. You know what I mean? Allah is here to guide us. Allah is giving us guidance. There's a key here. Allah is not telling you, you know what, I could have changed everything, but I'm not changing it. And until you in some way, do something I'm telling you to do, beg me, then I'll change it. That's not happening here. These are erroneous ideas of Allah. I'm going to speak about this. There's erroneous ideas of Allah. Because people don't know Allah. Now I'm going to reveal to you the biggest secret that can be revealed in terms of spiritual development. The biggest secret. That's why I got a smile on my face. That's why I got peace in my heart. From the man that I was to the man that I am and the man I'm becoming. My heart is just getting purified more and more every day. I am receiving Allah. I am receiving Allah's guidance. I am receiving Allah's support, Allah's caring and consideration, Allah's championing and cherishing. I am receiving from Allah. that is given to me, I'm receiving. When we suffer in the world, or when we depend on other people, or depend on people to depend on us, or we depend on ourselves, we don't want to depend on Allah. We don't want to depend on Allah. See, this is the secret. I have chosen to depend on Allah, and Allah is sufficient for me. When I turn to Allah, I don't turn to Allah in desperation. I turn to Allah from appreciation and inspiration. See? Because when I did turn to Allah in desperation, it was shown to me that you're overreacting. You're overreacting. You're focusing on a symptom. You're not focusing on the real solution, which is the cause. It's you, Ashraf, that are to develop Iman. It is you, Ashraf, to develop Amal. It is you, Ashraf, to support a life tayyibun. It is you, Ashraf, to claim your portion in this world and prepare for your highest, potentials and possibilities in the world beyond. I got a role to play in my life. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I'll do it. I'll play the role that I am to play in my life. Failing to play the role, I'm worshipping Satan, I'm not experiencing security, I'm remaining in desperation, neediness. Those who fail to remember Allah, theirs will be a depressed life. You fail to remember Allah, you won't experience Allah remembering you. The Quran says, you get what I mean? Existential abandonment, threatened vulnerability, shame, guilt, anger, hatred, desperation, diseased heart state, worry, fear, doubt, unhappiness. That's where I was. That's where most people are, but they don't know it. Most people are they're not aware that their heart is unhappy. They're not aware that, a lot of people are aware that they're unhappy, but a lot of people are not aware that they're unhappy because they can buy food, they can eat, they got a place to live, they got a job, they're carrying on. This doesn't mean I'm saying they're making shukr. I'm just saying they're in a state of relief. As long as there's no suffering, as long as there's no drama, as long as there's no troubles, as long as there's no trauma and tragedy, they're very good. The moment something is not right, they're desperate. Oh my God, I'm sick, God help me. Oh my God, there's verses in the Quran about this. When things are going well, people don't turn to God. Suddenly they got an issue, they turn to God. You get what I mean? This is the thing, you see. I turn to God, I don't have troubles, honestly speaking. I don't have trauma anymore, and I don't have tragedies. These things don't happen in my life because I'm on the path. I'm on the path of feeling better and better with Allah, drawing closer and closer to Him, receiving His good in this world and the world beyond. I'm cleansing my heart. If you fail to cleanse your heart, if your heart is diseased and it gets more and more diseased, then you're going to have more troubles and trauma and tragedy. You get what I mean? So, I'm good. Allah gave me guidance. I received it. And I'm remembering Him. I'm purifying my heart every day. I'm stepping along the path of human excellence. That's Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun. I'm preparing for my penthouse in heaven, my death in this world, through the doors, through my meeting with my Creator, through the doors of paradise, through my penthouse. That's my ambition. This is my purpose in the world. Nothing else is more important to me than remembering Allah. Now some people might say, nothing else is more important, but they're still depending on other people. They're still depending on themselves. They're still depending on people to depend on them. I'm not dependent on anybody. I'm not dependent on myself. I'm not dependent on a business or money. I'm not dependent on anybody to depend on me. I'm released. I've submitted. I depend only on Allah, who is sufficient for me, who was sufficient when I was in darkness, to be there for me and to guide me into the light and show me the error of my ways and show me that I was to apply myself in a certain way. And I was ready to apply myself. See, only those who are willing to learn, grow and develop will receive guidance. Those who want to remain unconsciously in their first life. Most people want to remain the same. Do you understand? Most people want to remain who they were and how they lived and what they experienced in their first life. And if some drama and trauma occurs, they rush to go back to how they were. They say there's a problem because I can't be who I was. There's a problem because I can't live how I lived. There's a problem because I can't continue to experience what I want to experience. I'm very happy in my relief, safety and excitement, and I want to continue there. Most people are like that. And for me, I was shown that if I remain the way I am, I'm a loser. If I remain with levels of unconsciousness and living subconsciously, if I remain needy, and I don't recognize Allah is sufficient for me, and only needy people are in denial of Allah. Do you understand? Needy people are in denial of Allah. Anybody who is aware of Allah will never feel needy. Tell to the believers to put their trust in Allah. Believers actually trust in Allah. I trust in Allah. When you trust in Allah, that relief, safety and excitement seeking, that is that compulsive behaviors of the phantom self, of the Satan worshipping self that creates problems for you in this world through your death and beyond, they go away. When I didn't trust in Allah, I was trying to get people to like me, I was trying to get people to want me, I was trying to get people to be pleased with me, I was trying to, all that. I was trying to get people to take care of me, I was trying to take care of people and make them needy on me and tell them I'm there for them. Not that Allah is there for all of us, that I'm there for them and I'm very special, I can help them. Or you know what, I'm here for me, as long as I can earn my own money, as long as I've got a business acumen, I got to run my business, I'm so smart, that's how it's been for most people. They don't depend on Allah. They're needy on other people. They want other people to be needy. They're needy on people to need them. They're needy on themselves. They're needy on the things of this world. They're needy. And so when you are failing to remember Allah and Allah's sufficiency for you, you won't feel trust and you'll behave in a compulsive way, like OCD on the world. You have to work every day. I've never worked a day in my life. Do you know that? Never worked a day in my life. Never worked. I've done contribution for which I've been paid, but I'm not a worker. I don't have a worker employee. I don't have a worker identity. I don't have an employee identity. But some people are employees. Their main function in life is to earn money through work, and oftentimes things they rather not do. They need a job. That's what their identity is. Their ibadat is work. We're going to work now. Their life is centered around getting money. A lot of people, you tell them leave your work, they'll freak out. They're like, who's going to look after me? Who's going to pay my bills? I'm going to end up being dependent on other people. That's because they don't understand. They haven't received guidance. They're still in a lack of awareness. They don't know that Allah is for us to depend on. They don't grasp what I'm saying. But so what are you saying? We must all not work and become dependent on each other. Is that what you're saying? You can't talk to people that are not interested in guidance. I've stopped it. I've stopped it. I've stopped talking to people who are Satan worshippers. I don't want to talk and give. Now I understand what Isa alayhi salam is quoted to have said, that I will not throw pearls to the swine. I will not throw pearls to the swine. You cannot tell people about Allah, people who don't want to remember Allah. People who might act like they are Muslims and act like believers but have no iman in their heart. People who are not interested in remembering Allah, people who are not interested in cleansing their heart, people who are not interested in iman, amal, tayyibun, people who are not interested in the penthouse in paradise or Jannat al-Firdaus, people who are not interested in answering to Allah in the last day. They say they believe in Allah in the last day, but it's pointless talking to them. They are in a cult called Islamism. They don't know Allah. And they don't know Allah. They are doing rituals, they have belief systems, they've been indoctrinated, they are blind followers. They don't even know that they don't know Allah. How worse can it be when you don't know God but you think you know God, and you really believe you know God but you don't. But your life is showing you, because in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. In the remembrance of Allah, my heart experiences assurance when I remember. It's not desperation. Please help me, God, I've got a problem in this world, so serious. Please, God, there's a problem in this world. There's only one problem. And that problem is you don't remember Allah. If you don't bring to Allah a purified heart, if you don't step on the path of human excellence, iman, amal, a life tayyibun, if you don't prepare for your death and your afterlife, if you don't prepare for answering to your Creator, if you don't prepare for Jannat al-Firdaus, that's the only problem. They're like, no, but we already go to the mosque. We already got Qurans in our house. Yeah, but you don't know guidance. You're just blind following the guru and the pandit. You don't know what you're here for. You don't know. Bottom line is, when you remember Allah, your heart experiences assurance. If you can tell me, beyond a shadow of doubt, of course, every time I think of Allah, I feel assured. Then you got no issue, because that's the iman in your heart. The Quran says, if you remember Allah abundantly, you'll attain felicity, you'll attain happiness and prosperity. If you are attaining felicity, which is happiness and prosperity, if you are succeeding in this, I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I've never been in this form, spiritually, psychologically, interpersonally. I'm at my best form. And that's because I've remembered Allah, and I remember Allah abundantly. The Quran says, worship Allah, and the best of things is to remember Allah. Remember Allah standing, sitting, and lying down. Now people ask them, what's remembering Allah? Take a rosary, a tasbih, and move one bead. Say the words that you don't even know what you're saying. Allah Akbar, Subhanallah. That's not remembering Allah. That's like some kind of cult, in some kind of brainwashed state, and in a state of insecurity and not knowing Allah, just doing rituals. You get what I mean? So the point is, again, I don't give a damn about anybody and their relationship with God. Because their relationship with God has got nothing to do with me. Allah tells us in the Quran that let those who believe, believe. Let those who disbelieve, disbelieve. Allah will show us where we differ. Allah is going to show me where, I stand with Him. He's going to show everybody where they stand with Him. It's got nothing to do with me where everybody else stands. I'm not mentioning this to say that, I'm better than them, or they are wrong, or they are bad. I bless them. Go your own way. If you want to go to hell, go to hell. You want to go to heaven, go to heaven. Go wherever you want to go. Stay wherever you are. Live how you want to live. You're free. It's got nothing to do with me. I am not upset about anybody else's choices, and so when I'm saying this, I'm only saying this because this has been my journey. I was one of those people. Until I reverted, a real revert from Islamism to Iman. A real revert. I'm a revertee. You know what I mean? I reverted back to truth and patient perseverance. So there are people who do not want to remember Allah. But they're begging Him to change the situation. And they're getting angry with Him for not changing the situation. They have all these ideas of Allah whom they don't know. They don't know Allah. They don't know. They're living their lives without that security, without that trust. And so they're thinking that other people, they should depend on them or work, and they got this they're in an identity other than believer. They're not centered around Allah. Their lives, if you look around them, they have patterns in their life which do not center around Allah. There's things that they do every day that do not center around Allah. Those patterns are more important to them than disrupting those patterns and putting Allah in the place where those things were. You get what I mean? Because this is idolatry. When you turn to another person, a thing in this world, anything within creation, including yourself, or you tell other people to turn to you, it's idolatry, it's shirk. And in our first life, we're all committing shirk in some way, form or another. Even though you say you believe in Allah and the last day, but in your heart is a disease and all that sort of thing, right? And the Quran says those who commit shirk and the hypocrites, the munafiqs, will be in the same zone in the hereafter, the same situation and condition in the hereafter. So, a lot of Muslims actually in South Africa, Indian ones especially, are modified Hindus. They're not real believers. That's my opinion. Allah knows best. He'll show us. I was one of those that I'm talking about. And so, the whole idea here is one thing and one thing alone. Will you remember Allah? Now, why is it that people don't want to remember Allah? Why people don't want to remember Allah? This is a strange thing. I've been speaking about this for over 10 years now. I've been speaking in mosques for over 10 years. I've been speaking to Muslim people from the Quranic perspective for over 10 years. And why are people not wanting to remember Allah? It's as simple as that. when I remembered Allah, I felt joy. Even though the problem remained the same in the world, it was a symptom, I felt better. And all that has improved, all that has happened since I remembered Allah and I've drawn closer to Allah is that I feel better. I feel better within me. It's a good feeling that's got nothing to do with me and anybody and nothing happening. I don't have to change the world and make them come right for me to feel good. That's why I can tell you the state of everybody else's heart's got nothing to do with me. I am independent of other people. I'm dependent only on Allah. I'm not dependent on other people and how they live to feel good. My good feeling comes from remembering Allah. Verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. So most people, they don't want to remember Allah. They don't want to experience assurance. So they won't receive guidance. They don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. They don't want to develop. They don't want to take responsibility. They want to continue to live like how they've always lived. They want to continue to be who they've been, how they've lived, what they've experienced. When guidance came to me, it was shown to me there's another way for me to be. There's another way for me to live. There's another way for me to experience. There's for me to live beyond insecurity with security through remembrance of Allah and closeness with Allah. There's a way for me to live with amal, not just iman, but amal, to play a positive role in my life. There's a place I can do that. I can basically connect with Allah and have Him benefit me in a way that I can't benefit me and nobody can benefit me. And having connected with Allah and having Him benefit me, which He does every day as a true believer, one who's submitted to Allah, whose life centers around Allah, and I experience Him improving me and my condition in this world to my death and beyond. And He has given me the ability to apply myself powerfully in a way to benefit me, my body, my life. And every day I am playing a more beneficial role with me, my body and my life. And so receiving Allah's benefit and being more beneficial to me, my body, my life, my future life, my afterlife, playing that role in my life, I can play a role in other people's lives. I can be more beneficial to others in a real way. As a believer, as an empowered adult, I can be somebody in other people's lives, secure, self-full, iman, amal, and I can be progressing in my life and be with others. And the Quran says believers must be with believers. You get what I mean? No point me being on the path of security. Allah is the number one in my life because there's only Allah, and to be with people whose lives are centered around other than Allah. It's pointless for me to be with non-believers. You get what I mean? No, pointless for me to be the person who's caring for me, my body and my life, interested in amal, and being with people who are not interested. They're destructive. They're defeating. Pointless. So me as a believer, me with aman, me with iman, me with amal. The Quran speaks about iman and amal together, with iman first, iman and amal. And the Quran says if you have iman and you have amal, whether male or female, you support a tayyibun. Life is for you. It's for you. And I'm living in terms of having a higher quality of life. Then I can support others like me in a higher quality of life. And I can be supported by others like me who are connected with Allah and being a benefit to themselves and being a benefit to me as I'm being a benefit to me and in my life. This is the path. I was guided to it. This is the truth that was shown to me. And I've been stepping on that path. And it begins with remembering Allah. See, why do people not want to learn and grow and develop? Why do people not want to take responsibility? Why does responsibility terrify people? But it's something that you can do. Like if I tell you can learn to drive a car, and if you learn to drive a car you'll be more independent than not being a motorist. And why wouldn't you want to do it? You know what I mean? Because if you did do it, you'd be more independent. Why do people not want to do things? They don't want to take responsibility for learning the yellow book and going through the blue book and going for the yard test and the road test and learning to drive. I just want somebody else. I just want somebody else to drive me. I don't want to learn to drive my life. I want somebody else. So what happens is, most people want to remain in a state of unawareness of Allah. Most people want to remain in a state of denial of Allah. They don't want to become aware of Allah's compassion and mercy, His love and His benevolence. They don't want to. They don't want to. I'll tell you why they don't want to. But they don't want to. That's what I realized. They'd rather do rituals and say this and say that. It's easier to do that. It's easier just to put on an act rather than become aware of Allah. You know what I mean? Just act and, relieve your conscience. This is why in the name of religion, you have a lot of people who carry guilt and shame, and there's a lot of perversion that happens in the name of religion. You have a lot of narcissistic people become religious leaders. Sickness in religion, not in spirituality, not in Iman. The perversion that happens. Why? Because they're not interested in purifying their heart. They're not interested in remembering Allah. So why? So I'll tell you why people don't want to do that. And what they do. They don't want to take responsibility. They want to blame other people. And that's what we do. We blame Allah. When we have forgotten Allah, let me tell you what is the experience, because I know, and some of you may know what I'm talking about. When you have forgotten Allah, and you don't want to remember Allah, and you think you remember Allah, you'll think Allah is shaming you, punishing you, humiliating you. You'll think Allah is not listening to you. You'll think Allah is listening to you but refusing you. You'll think Allah is looking at you at contempt and disdain. You think Allah has closed His heart towards you. You know what I'm speaking about, that Allah withholds His love from you. A lot of people, when they think about Allah or God, they get very scared. They get very afraid. You get what I mean? Why? Because they don't know Allah. The Quran tells us in many places of the Quran that those who are on the path must never fear. The friends of Allah, they never fear. The friends of Allah never fear. Musa a.s. was told, come forward. Do not fear. Come forward. No matter who you are, no matter how bad a sinner you are, you can approach Allah. With humility, you can approach Allah. Anybody can approach Allah with humility. By His permission, but through humility. You can. So a lot of people don't want to remember Allah. You know why? They don't want to take responsibility that they forgot Allah. They don't want to recognize it is they don't want to admit that they are in denial of Allah. His greatness, His graciousness, His gifting nature, His granting nature, His giving nature, His granting nature, the gifts. They don't want to feel good. Most people don't want to feel good. They just don't want to feel bad. Do you understand? And that's why they end up feeling bad and they say, Allah, please change this bad feeling. And they have this bad opinion of Allah. They think Allah is withholding from them and they have to beg Him and they have to force Him. They're not aware of Allah. They don't want to become aware of Allah. To become aware of Allah means to admit that I have denied Allah. I am denying Allah. I have forgotten Allah. I am denying Allah. To remember Allah means you have to recognize you forgot Allah and you're in a state of forgetfulness of Allah. People don't want to admit that because they are terrified. That look what I did. I forgot Allah. I forgot Allah. You know what I mean? This is very bad. I'm guilty. I'm shameful. So most people, they will not receive the compassion of Allah. They will not receive guidance. They will not receive the compassion of Allah because they feel guilt and shame. They feel they're very bad. They feel they're sinners. I was one of those people. I don't know if you ever felt like that. That I've sinned so much, Allah will never forgive me. These are the kind of ideas I had about Allah. Until I realized Allah guided me to claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. That I am to claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. That A'udhu is first, then is Bismillah. That I begin with the awareness of the wonderful nature of Allah. Allah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah the compassionate, the merciful. Why do we begin with the awareness of the nature of Allah? The name of Allah is the nature of Allah. And Allah is a wonderful nature. And His wonderful nature. Why the first names of Allah we are introduced to? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Why in that order? And why Allah the compassionate, the merciful? Why? Because Allah never withheld love from us, even though we forgot Him. But we are in fear of Allah and because we carry shame and humiliation. We carry guilt. That's why we won't let ourselves feel good with Allah. We won't let ourselves feel good. This is what I let go of, the shame and the guilt. As I received Allah, I really began with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That Allah, you are compassionate. Allah, even though I denied you, You still gave us guidance. The Quran is a book of glad tidings. It speaks about prophets, including our beloved Prophet who brought to humanity glad tidings and a caution. See, the people don't want the glad tidings. What is the glad tidings? There's no glad tidings. Why? Why people don't want to receive the good news? Allah is compassionate and merciful. Yes, we have erred, but Allah is not withholding love from us. Why are we judging ourselves and projecting the judgment onto Allah, thinking that He's causing problems for us, that He is withholding, when Allah is compassionate? Most people don't want to accept that Allah is compassionate. They feel too much of guilt and shame. They rather do everything from guilt and shame and receive the compassion of Allah. I'm going to speak about this in subsequent lectures, inshallah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah.